What if a single technological marvel could become humanity's most terrifying nightmare? Close your eyes and imagine a catastrophe so profound that it would render an entire region uninhabitable for generations. A disaster so catastrophic that it would not just change a region, but reshape the entire global understanding of technological progress and human fallibility. This is the untold story of Chernobyl. That a nuclear tragedy that would expose the fatal cracks in the Soviet system and send shockwaves across the entire world. Part 1. The nuclear race begins. Picture a world on the brink of technological revolution, a planet divided by ideology, where scientific supremacy was the ultimate weapon of global dominance. In 1949, the Soviet Union did the unthinkable. They became the second nation in human history to successfully test an atomic bomb, shattering the United States' monopoly on nuclear technology. Imagine the tension, the global shock of this moment. But the Soviets weren't content with merely creating a weapon. 3 years later, in 1953, they pushed the boundaries further by successfully testing a hydrogen bomb. While the world trembled, the Soviet Union was rewriting the rules of technological innovation. What drives a nation to push beyond known scientific boundaries? In June 1954, the Soviets answered that question dramatically. In the small town of Obinsk, they unveiled the world's first nuclear power plant, a modest 5-megawatt facility that would become a symbol of technological ambition. Western scientists were stunned. While they remained fixated on nuclear weapons, the Soviets were generating electricity from atomic power. The United States, long considered the technological leader, would lag behind by 4 entire years. But behind this spectacular achievement, a complex and fragile system was already beginning to crumble. Part 2. The birth of Chernobyl. What happens when ambition meets bureaucratic incompetence? Enter Viktor Bryukhanov, the man tasked with constructing the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Here's a shocking truth. Bryukhanov was not a nuclear physicist. He was an electrical engineer from Tashkent Polytechnic Institute, whose primary qualification was unwavering loyalty to the Communist Party. In the Soviet system, political reliability trumped technical expertise. Bryukhanov faced an impossible mission. He had to secure funding, create material lists, and build an entire infrastructure from scratch. Imagine starting a project where you first need to construct railroads, docks, and basic infrastructure before even beginning the main project. The Soviet authorities demanded something extraordinary. They wanted a nuclear reactor, larger and more powerful than any Western counterpart. The deadline? December 1975, a timeline so compressed it was practically impossible to follow. Standard safety and construction protocols. Part 3. Design flaws and technological hubris. Let's dive into the heart of darkness, the RBMK reactor. A technological marvel that was simultaneously a potential apocalyptic device. The control rods were a masterpiece of dangerous engineering, composed of graphite and boron carbide. They were designed to control nuclear fission. But here's the terrifying twist. Their design would become a critical factor in the impending disaster. Imagine a reactor where the very mechanism meant to stop a nuclear reaction could potentially accelerate it. The RBMK reactor used graphite as a moderator, which meant that under certain conditions, it could actually increase nuclear reactions instead of controlling them. The basic principle of nuclear power is elegant in its simplicity. Uranium atoms split when hit by neutrons, releasing enormous energy. These released neutrons then strike other uranium atoms, creating a chain reaction. But control is everything. Chernobyl used low-enriched uranium, approximately 2 enriched. In theory, a controllable and safe design. In practice, a ticking time bomb. Part 4. The fateful experiment. What happens when routine meets recklessness? The stage was set on April 25, 1986, with a seemingly mundane safety test. Deputy Director Anatoly Dyatlov wanted to test how long turbines could generate electricity. through inertial momentum during a power outage, a standard safety procedure that would become anything but standard. The test required disabling safety systems and operating at low power. But nothing went according to plan. Delays, miscommunications, and a cascade of human errors began to stack up. The electrical staff requested postponement. The reactor remained at low power for over 10 hours, a scenario never intended in the original plan. Each passing hour increased the potential for catastrophic failure. Part 5. The moment of disaster. Imagine a moment where human error meets technological vulnerability. At 1:23 a.m. on April 26, everything changed. The initial explosion was just the beginning. The reactor's safety systems, already compromised, failed catastrophically. The 1,200-ton lid was blown sky-high, releasing a deadly radioactive plume into the atmosphere. The first responders had no idea of the invisible killer surrounding them. Anatoly Roth, believing it was a simple fire. Dramatically underreported radiation levels, employees worked without proper protective equipment, sealing their fatal exposure. Part 6. Government response and cover-up. What happens when a government values reputation over human life? The Soviet response was a masterclass in bureaucratic denial. Initially, they attempted to completely conceal the accident. But when radiation was detected in Sweden, international pressure mounted. On April 28, they grudgingly acknowledged the disaster, while simultaneously minimizing its scale. Evacuation procedures were a nightmare. Residents were moved without being told the true extent of the danger, creating a humanitarian crisis that would span generations. Part 7. Global consequences. The radioactive fallout knew no borders. Belarus saw 22 of its territory contaminated. Radiation was detected across Sweden, Norway, and Finland. The red forest became a haunting symbol of environmental devastation. Pine trees turned a rust-red color, dying from intense radiation exposure. Part 8. Lessons and legacy. Chernobyl was classified as a Level 7 nuclear event, at the highest possible on the International Nuclear Event Scale. Its impact went far beyond immediate destruction. The disaster became a pivotal moment in the collapse of the Soviet Union. It exposed systemic failures, bureaucratic incompetence, and a culture that prioritized political appearance over human safety. Today, Chernobyl stands as a stark reminder, a 30-kilometer exclusion zone, that a monument to human fallibility and technological overreach as we continue to pursue advanced technologies. Chernobyl whispers a crucial message that progress must never come at the expense of human life. Innovation must be balanced with responsibility, transparency, and an unwavering commitment to safety. Chernobyl is a stark reminder of the potential dangers of nuclear energy when mismanaged. While it serves as a cautionary tale, it also underscores the importance of innovation, transparency, and safety in the pursuit of progress. Today, as we grapple with energy challenges, Chernobyl stands as a somber lesson that the cost of cutting corners can be far greater than any savings. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of history's most infamous nuclear disaster. If you found this story insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going about the lessons we can learn from Chernobyl.